Hello, good afternoon or good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching this video. It's Jane Laline here, and I want to introduce somebody that I'm really honoured to introduce you to A guy called Steve. Now, Steve has been a client of mine for many years, and I'm also privileged to call him a friend. So, given that we're talking about finance and loans in the period of COVID-19, Steve, can you just introduce yourself and why is it useful for people to talk to you at the moment?
Okay, so I call myself a navigator of commercial finance, which means I work with growth businesses where finance or funding issues sort of hold them back. I work closely with business owners, but sometimes with finance directors. Develop good relationships, long-term relationships, and they find me a valuable resource. So my client criteria is quite simple. Am I going to be able to get on with these people? Can I genuinely solve their problem? And can they pay me?
Okay. And what's your background?
Banking. My formative years were spent in a family haulage business, though, before I joined the bank. I had 30 odd years as a successful banker and thoroughly enjoyed dealing with smaller businesses rather than corporates. I've been running my own business since 2007, which means I actually know what it's like on both sides of the fence.
Okay.
When useful. Humpty falls off the wall in the world of finance.
Okay. So you're pretty close to the banks then?
Yes, I'm talking to bankers most days. My business really depends on me understanding how bankers think and how they operate and how things work behind the scenes. And I also need to understand how SMEs, business owners, think and operate.
Okay. So given that you do have this close relationship with the banks, how are the banks viewing small businesses and the business market at the moment? Now we've got all this COVID-19 stuff going on.
That's a really good question. It's sort of changing every day, but I think if we just step back a little bit here and look at the market generally, I think it's fair to say, and I have a little bit of inside knowledge on this, is that the banks actually find small businesses the hardest part of the market to deal with. When they're dealing with a corporate client, they like talking to finance directors. Finance directors are very similar to them. They're numerate, they're well organised with information, they're right on top of the numbers. And they find people running their own businesses are a little bit tricky. They don't tend to operate in the way that the banks would rather like them to operate or expect them to operate. They can be making decisions on the hoof, working instinctively. They tend to look forwards rather than backwards. And of course, a lot of the time they're not on the numbers. So they find them quite hard work. I think it's also fair to say that there is a sort of a difference in mindsets and traits between bank managers and people running their own businesses. And I think also it should be recognised, which not many people will necessarily agree with, that banks actually don't make an awful lot of money out of small businesses. They're fairly high risk. They're fairly heavy work in terms of looking after them day to day. So it's not a market that is one that's exceptionally profitable for them.
Okay, so given the situation at the moment where lots of SMEs are really looking at support from their banks, the bottom has maybe fallen out of their workload and their client list, and it's very difficult for them. At the moment, what would your general tips be for SMEs, business owners, about approaching banks, about supporting them through this situation?
I think the first thing is that it's really encouraging historically that not that many businesses are relying on bank finance. And we hear a lot about businesses borrowing from banks, but it's a relatively smaller number proportion-wise. Although obviously if people are buying properties, that becomes a commercial mortgage situation if they're owner-occupiers. But it does mean with the current crisis, whatever you want to call it, that people are actually going to be having to talk to banks and approaching banks for finance, sometimes for the first time, and they're going to find it really hard work. And my general tips are, firstly, get to the right person. If a business has not been borrowing money or hasn't been active, they may not have a nominated relationship manager. And that's particularly true if you're banking with one of the banks that's been restructuring and losing people. You may find that it's actually the first challenge is to find out who you're supposed to be talking to. And that can make a big, big difference. So you could end up in a telephone sort of vortex of trying to speak to people for hours and then finding you just get declined, because that's the easiest for them to do. I've got 2 cases on my desk where somebody's been declined by Lloyds, they're Lloyds customers, and I've actually just been able to go in and talk to a different person at Lloyds and get facilities agreed for them, just
Fantastic.
because they're talking to the wrong person. So you would expect the banks to sort that out for you, but they won't. It's worthwhile talking to some of your peers, other people in businesses that are banking with the same organisation, and just finding out who's good, who's actually going to take the time to work hard on your behalf. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and I refer to this as loading the horse the first time. So whilst I'm not really into horses, if you've ever had a daughter or another half who has a horse and you're trying to get it into the horse box, you'll know that if it goes straight up the ramp the first time in the box, it's great. But if it doesn't, you have to walk it round and round in circles, and then you keep trying, and every time it gets harder. So loading the horse the first time is the trick, which means that you've actually got to be able to be well prepared with your presentation, your information. You need to understand your proposition, how much you want to borrow. Don't ask for too much. Don't ask for too little. Make sure that you're sort of examining your numbers and looking at the sort of stress test. You also need to understand how the bank is going to look at the proposition, because you need to present something concise to them, which meets and answers all their questions. So somebody puts a sort of 50-page business plan in, it might be really thorough, it may well have been prepared by a professional, you may well have paid a lot of money for it. If it's that long, it's just going to go on a pile and not it's going to be busy. The banker also looked at it and sees that it's a really brief document and it's not going to answer all their questions, they'll just get discouraged. So the trick is to make sure that your presentation is the one that they look at, your application. These guys will have more applications coming in at the moment than they can deal with. Yours needs to look like the one that's worth working on. Keep it simple. It will never be easy, but if you keep it simple, that helps. And also, don't leave it to chance that your bank manager is going to represent you well internally, because traditionally you would just give the bank manager the information on the phone or in a meeting. He would then pull together a report and put it up the line to the underwriters. You do that work for him or her, because you can't leave it to chance that a busy person who perhaps doesn't understand you that well is going to do the best presentation for you. And the things that really frustrate bankers, and they frustrate me because I have the same issue, if somebody wants me to represent them with a bank, I will give them a list of, say, 10 things that they have to give me. And quite often they'll come back with 8 and expect me just to crack on and do that. And then, no, I need 10. I need 10 pieces of information, and this is why. And banks find that's really frustrating if you've just got to look at things piecemeal. So give them what they need from the outset.
So actually what I'm hearing is that if somebody isn't skilled at this is where somebody like you becomes a real asset, because you're able to navigate them through that jungle and help them get their horse on the trailer first time.
Yes, I do lender presentations, and I take the information from the client and I put it into a format that basically becomes the bank's credit report. Those people who have ever looked for an investor in their business will be very familiar with having an investor memo, which is a really, really concise and well written and presented document. We do the same with lender presentations.
Okay, so that's great. So there's been an awful lot of stuff about the government has been talking about the support that they're offering. What's the reality?
Well, I am fielding so many questions about the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme at the moment. I would say, I shouldn't be too negative, this is going to be a good scheme for some businesses and it could make all the difference between survival or not. But what is really concerning, and several people who are sort of close to the market knew this was going to happen. There is a huge gap between people's expectations of what they're going to be able to get and what actually gets delivered. And this is driven by the fact that to some extent there is a strong PR element to this from the government. They want to be able to say that they have made the banks react and support businesses, and there is also a different message that's going to come out from the banks in reality, in that these schemes are not going to work for everybody and they're going to be really slow to get delivered.
Okay.
So there are a few areas, if I just sort of focus on this as a scheme, and where those expectations are going to be not quite aligned. So the first thing is that the message coming out from the government is that through the British Business Bank, they have accredited over 40 lenders to use this scheme. And they have. But if you look at the list, and you can go on the British Business Bank link, you will find that there are 40 odd lenders there, but some of them are regional. So there are quite a lot that lend in a tight geographical area, particularly up north. So there's ones that are affecting you. It's for businesses based in northwest or northeast or Lancashire or South Yorkshire. So there are a lot of those, and if you are in one of those areas, they would be a really good option because they tend to be small lenders who move quite quickly. But of course, they're not available to everybody.
Okay.
The scheme is covering not just loans, but also things like asset finance and invoice discounting. So if you're not in a position of using any of those facilities, and some of your clients will be with asset finance because they may well have quite a bit of equipment that they've got some equity in, it could be a means of refinancing some equipment, for example. So it isn't all about loans. The other aspect is if you look at some of those lenders, they're really specialist. So there's a lender on the list called Compass, and they only provide loans to the printing industry. There's another one there called UKSE, who are owned by Tata Steel, and only lend to the steel. So you can see actually that 40 lenders narrows down quite quickly to the high street banks. And a lot of the high street banks are saying that they're only going to help existing customers because they haven't got the capacity to help others. So the message is you need to go to your existing bank and have that conversation with them.
Okay.
If they are a main bank, they will be on that list, with the exception, I think, of Handelsbanken. You could find that quite a lot of your clients are with Handelsbanken because they've been quite sort of prime clients in the past. Handelsbanken obviously are Swedish, they're not beholden to the UK government, and they have high standards when it comes to their lending decisions. So they probably just don't want to get involved in the scheme.
So if somebody finds out that the government loan scheme really isn't going to help them, What are their other options when it comes to their bank?
Okay, well there are quite a few actually. Um, so if you have a bank loan, and I'm guessing quite a lot of your clients will have a bank loan to have bought their premises or to have bought into a practice. If you have a bank loan, they can be quite heavy cash flow wise with the monthly repayments. You can ask the bank to defer the monthly repayments or the quarterly repayments. Some of the banks are actually being proactive on this.
Okay.
So I've had clients tell me, particularly from Lloyds and NatWest, that they're phoning them up and saying, do you want us to stop making the monthly repayments?
Oh, wow.
This is very easy for them to do. It's just a push of a button, and it's not going to cost them money. They may not defer the interest, but they will defer the capital. And why would they not? Because basically it means it's going to take you longer to repay the loan. So don't sit and wait for that call. Phone and ask if you can have a capital repayment holiday. I'd be quite surprised if they declined, unless perhaps they were already concerned about you as a business. The other thing is, if you've got an overdraft, and many businesses will operate with an overdraft, it's quite easy for the bank just to extend that, just to increase it. Okay, there's some regulatory work that they have to do, but that is the easiest thing for them to do. A lot of people will have business credit cards as well, and what happens behind the scenes is that you may have a limit advised to you for £5,000, say, but the system behind it will say that you're good for 10,000, and the banker can really literally just go into the system and up the limit.
Okay.
So you may find that those are three quite simple things that you can do just to alleviate the cash flow quite quickly.
Okay. And what about non-bank schemes?
Well, there's quite a few of these. If companies are paying VAT, of course, the thing that they can do is not pay their VAT, which is obviously going to be due in the next couple of weeks. There is a little trick that people need to do, which is to cancel their direct debit for their VAT, because apparently the HMRC do not have the ability to quickly stop those payments. So you don't want that VAT to go out if basically you've got the leeway to do it and you won't get it back again. So do your VAT return, cancel your direct debit. So that if you're paying. The job retention scheme is going to help, but we have no idea when the money is going to start to flow. The HMRC have not yet got the platform up, and my guess is probably going to be July before any money starts to flow back to businesses, but it's worth getting onto it now. I'm not an expert, but furloughing the staff that you don't want to be doing any work for you. There are local authority grants, particularly for businesses that are paying rates. Be proactive with this. Explore them. I think it's left that local authority will get in touch with companies or businesses. Don't wait for that call. Find out whether you're eligible or not. Not everybody will be. Deferring rent, if you're in a rented property and you've got a landlord, do it. I've got several clients who are commercial property landlords. They are expecting people to phone them up and say, I can't pay the rent this quarter. So don't be too afraid to do it. And of course, some people may well have their property in a pension scheme in their own name, and it's up to them and their trustees if they're happy to defer the rent. So that can help. Talk to your supply chain. I don't know if this would work for some of your clients, but I'm doing some work for somebody at the moment who has decided that it's a company that's sitting on some cash and they want to help another business that they do a lot of work with. So they're talking about lending them some money. I just need to do the documentation to make it all legal and what have you. And being a bit creative as well. There's some interesting things going on. So I know this might not apply with your clients, but there are some restaurants, for example, who are almost crowdfunding. They're pre-selling meals, for example, that people can take when we all crawl out of the wreckage of this. And it's helping with the cash flow. So there's some interesting sort of things going on.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been encouraging, that for small businesses that we start selling vouchers and pre-selling stuff just to make sure that they're there. The likes of Sainsbury's and Tesco's and Amazon, don't get me wrong, they have been amazing. They are providing jobs for people, but they're going to be there anyway. It's the small people that we really need to support. So
I was talking to a company this morning, and they're worried about, they use a lot of freelancers because they're into TV production.
Okay.
What they're reasonably sort of healthy cash-wise, but the freelancers aren't. So they're doing a bit of work to sort of prepay the freelancers.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Which builds up some goodwill and sort of commits them to coming back as well and working for them later on.
Awesome. So, any final tips on finance?
Yes, I do have two.
Go on then.
One, if you are a business that's got an overdraft and you're relying on that overdraft, people just in the past have this thing where they're used to the bank manager phoning them up and say, "Oh, your overdraft's due to renew next week," or "It ran off last week, we need to renew it." This year, I think you're going to find you're going to have to put a lot more work into getting that overdraft extended. So dig out your facility letter now and find out when your overdraft is due to be renewed and start working on it. I would say about 3 months before you need to. You need to be pulling together some information, almost a sort of presentation for, this is why you should renew my overdraft and this is how much I need. Don't leave it to the bank. And I think that's quite important.
Okay.
The banks may well try and pull back overdrafts more than they have done in the past, because they see it as probably one of the riskiest forms of lending. The second thing is, and there will be a lot of your clients who have this, I've been involved in 2 dental practices who have fairly chunky property loans from where they bought or built their surgery. Their facility letters may well have hidden in them some covenants, loan covenants, basically promises that the borrower undertakes to keep the loan in order, and they may well be about the value of the loan to the property, or it might well be about the profits of the business compared to the amount of the loan. Dig those out and make sure you understand them and start thinking ahead about, are you potentially going to breach those covenants? If you are, now's the time to start a communication or a discussion with the bank about how they're going to react to that.
Okay.
And they will be my 2.
Okay, that's great. Thank you ever so much for that. So, Steve, I can see that your expertise is really going to help those people that don't really understand the finance. They don't understand how the bankers think, to navigate them through this period. So if somebody were to want to get hold of you, how can they get hold of you so that you can support them and navigate them?
Best to go through either my website, which is Cornmill Associates, or email me on steveleverton@cornmillassociates.co.uk.
Fantastic. Do you want to just say that again, just so everybody's got a chance to write it down?
Yes, it's Steve, S-T-E-V-E, Leverton, L-E-V-E-R-T-O-N, all one word, at cornmillassociates.co.uk.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much. And Steve, I'd just like to be a little bit cheeky. So we've been working together. Oh, goodness me, I've dropped everything now in the excitement of thinking about the number of years we've been working together. So how have you found working with me as your coach useful and beneficial?
Terrible. No. What I like is that Jane is a proper coach. So she doesn't pull out a whole list of things that and tasks that she gives me to do on a sort of formulaic, here's a box of tricks and things I prepared earlier. She's proper coaching things out of me in terms of what I want to be doing, what I'm going to do. However, she is brimming with good ideas. So when you actually need her to come up with something, it's there and it's good quality. And the other thing for me, and I think a lot of people in business should appreciate and value this, which is the accountability of me saying that I'm going to do something and then I know I have to have done it by the time I go back to see Jane again, because otherwise I'm wasting my time and my money and Jane's as well. And we have a bit of a laugh as well.
We do, yeah. It's been a long time. It's been great. Fantastic. Well, thanks ever so much, Steve. I think this call has been absolutely incredible. You've shared so much information that I know for certain isn't out there in the dental world. So yeah, let's just hope that we can help people and we can really maintain business so that when people come back from this situation, that they're in a stronger position than they were previously. So,
Yes.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.